go.
Oh.
All right, what's up, everyone? We are live, I think. Yep, there we go. Hey guys, I am Billy Lewis, along with these two guys. If y'all want to introduce yourselves.
I'm Austin Maynard.
And I'm Jay W. Prather.
So before we get started, we apologize for JW's audio. He's not a tech guy. No. He does all this technology and he can't get his microphone right.
That is an ongoing joke.
Stuff like this.
That's an ongoing joke, guys.
For sure.
All right, so we are here to talk about this new series that is the brainchild of JW and Austin too. It's called Travelers, the WorldGate Project. We shot it back in April in Bryan, Ohio at the Granary, one of Austin's locations that he manages. And yeah, we're releasing episode 1 tomorrow night. Excited about it. Put it on the ScareNetwork. If you guys want to kind of talk about how all this came about, and I know you've done one of these experiments before and put it out, but you know, I think you guys are wanting to try to, you know, improve on that and take it to another level. So JW, don't bore the audience, but let's give a rundown on how all this came about, and then Austin, you chime in with the role you play in all this, and then we'll go from there.
JW, speak loud and clearly.
Okay, is this loud and clear enough? Can you understand me?
It's okay.
Billy, can you control anything on your end?
No. There's nothing I can do with his audio. I can mute him. Will that be good?
Yeah, probably.
So it's not bad. I mean, it's not great.
I don't understand what is wrong with it. I mean, it's a new mic. I don't know what's wrong with it.
I should have put.
I don't know how to change the settings on it.
It's all right.
Right now,
well,
I'm looking at. Yeah, I mean, it's full blast right now.
Yeah, you're good. So it's okay. It's not perfect, but
go ahead.
yeah, let's talk about the WorldGate and the hyperrealm and all that, and you know, like we were talking about earlier, just kind of break it down in layman's terms for, you know, the common person who has no clue what this is and what we're talking about.
Yeah. So when all this started a few years back, I was really doing a lot of experimentation at various locations and doing filming and of my experiments. And then I did the Conjuring House experiments, and that one went pretty well. And that's pretty much when I created the IDC Institute and said, look, this is what I want to do full time. I don't want to just investigate. I want to do my experiments. I've done those experiments several times at several different locations. And this one here, we were able to film this one from front to back in Bryan. We were able to film it from the get-go, which was what I always wanted. I knew that I needed to have some kind of control, not only over the experiments, but how we were filming it so that we could share it with the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to JW had some hardships with some of the previous trials and previous experiments, and yeah, he did lose a lot of the control in those scenarios, and I thought it was important for him to be able to get these experiments properly documented and out there for people to see, to really just to see what's possible. And And so I'm glad that we were able to get hooked up with Billy here, and we were able to, really, I think it was really a really great project. All in all, I think it's going to be really cool when this comes out.
Well,
So-
I'm thankful for both of you guys because I was going to do the experiments no matter what. But Austin was like, okay, let's film it. And I really was like, I don't give a shit if we film it or not. We're going to go do these experiments. He's like, look, you got to do it this way. At least try it, because I had such a bad experience leading up to this. So Austin, I really got to hand it to him. He's like, dude, let's just do this. And then Billy comes in, and guys, Billy is amazing. So I couldn't have done it without Austin and Billy. They really made this what it is. Without them, it would have just been me out there doing what it is I do, and maybe nobody would have ever seen it like y'all are about to see it.
So first off, thank you for the opportunity to be a part of it. Second off, JW, just kind of break it down for, let's say someone is watching who knows nothing about this, nothing about what you do. Just kind of explain what it is and what your goals are with it, what you're hoping to accomplish, and why you're so passionate about it.
Well, like you said, you don't want me to bore everybody, so we're going to stay out of the quantum field for now. Because when I start talking, I end up somewhere in quantum field and superposition and all of this. We're going to stay clear of that for now. We're simply going to say that I have got a lot of theories about the paranormal, and that we can do research to where we can marry science and the paranormal and find some answers. And that's what I set out to do, is in layman's terms, see if we could open a gate, a portal, to where we could see something. But if nothing else, at least the participants themselves, as you will see in the series, when they go through these experiments, they're going to have experiences that are, some of them seem to be altered realities. Some of them seem to be other lives they may have lived. Some of them might have been traveling in time. There's so many different things that occurred that you're going to see in this series that I couldn't even have said, okay, well, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. No, we didn't know what was going to happen when we did this, and we were blown away with the different experiences that these travelers came back with, and what the story was they had to tell when they got back. We weren't all prepared for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the big goal of this was really try to do, I guess I shouldn't say artificially induced astral projection, but it's more like I would say controlled astral travel experience, right?
Yeah.
And so like we're just trying to see, the whole idea of this series is basically we're exploring that concept, exploring the possibility of being able to, have people in a sense astral travel by being induced and exposed to these frequencies that JW, figures up based on universal math, numerology, sacred geometry. I mean, there's a whole number of factors involved in it. But it really is amazing.
Let me see if I can put it in kind of layman's terms for the viewer who's watching right now that may not have followed anything that I've done. If the viewer that's watching me right now, think about what happens just before you fall asleep or right after you wake up from sleep, and how your body might jerk a little bit and things are a little bit skewed, or you wake up, you don't know quite where you're at, but it only lasts for a few seconds. What we know from science is when you fall asleep and you first wake up, you're in the 5 to 8 hertz range for just a few seconds. And then your body starts picking back up again, right? And your frequencies go up, you go make coffee. what if I could tell you that I can try to get you in that 5 to 7, 8 hertz range and try to keep you there for 10 or 12 minutes? Not 10 or 12 seconds. What might you experience for 10 or 12 minutes of staying in that frequency? And remember, that's the frequency of Earth, the human resonance. So you are most in tune with this universe right as you fall asleep and right as you wake up. So as you watch this series, remember, I'm trying to hold these participants there, not for 10 or 12 seconds, 10 or 12 minutes.
So I've got a question for you guys to answer. So, what is the thinking in doing these experiments in a haunted location? Just again, for someone who may not know anything about this, which is a lot of people, obviously.
Well, I studied a lot of the CIA documents. I was looking at what the Monroe Institute was doing, Stanford University, MIT. We also go all the way back to other countries that were dealing with this back in the 40s, 50s, this kind of research. But it was always in these controlled laboratories. My thought was, why can't I take it from that laboratory and go to these purported paranormal active locations? Right? Let's try it there, because they haven't done that. So we're going to go try it, and we're going to really mess around and find out here. And if there is something on that other side that I can do, say in the hyper realm experiment, and they can get to the other side, what better way is there to investigate a location but actually being able to go to that side?
And of course, we had to, JW has had to factor in, especially when it comes to the math and the numbers, he has to factor in specific information about each location that we go to. And that includes like literally the dimensions of the building from top to bottom, you know, the geographical location, like the coordinates, all that stuff. It all translates to numbers. And so like although the previous experiments were in controlled laboratory conditions, like he's trying to basically take them outside of the laboratory and try to include the factor in the idea that it's going to be in a haunted location or in a different location. So like no matter which location is done, those like that data is all factored in. So
and we still hold to protocols. We still do all our safety precautions. We still do it. We control the experiment. We don't let the participants talk to each other after they come back until after they've done their exit interviews, so that hopefully no experiences get contaminated because they had another participant say something. But remember, this is all, everything in this universe is frequencies and binary code. Everything is math. Some of our experiments happen at 9 a.m. You think, okay, well, if you're going to a paranormal location, you got to wait till midnight. If the clock tells me, my math tells me that that experiment's supposed to start at 9:13 a.m., it starts at 9:13 a.m.
Yeah. I'm trying to do a couple things. Yeah, it's definitely fascinating and interesting, and
I guess I would like to add though too, it really, I mean, based on what, you know, the way that JW does all the numbers and everything, honestly, it really doesn't matter where the experiment is conducted because the math can work for wherever. Like he just has to, I mean, it may not work for every place, but I know that like it doesn't necessarily matter like the location, right, JW?
I can pick the best time for that location during, let's say we've set aside 7 days that we're going to this location. I will go through the math and I will try to figure out, it's kind of like a fishing. Like if you're going to go fishing, you're going to go camping next week, you look at the fishing table, right? And you're like, okay, you know, it says the best time for fishing is 3 p.m. So you plan to get your bait and go fishing at 3 p.m. while you're on vacation. I do the same thing. I'm trying to, you know, get the best odds for us having the best time for not only the participants, but that particular location. Not all participants also fit into each experiment. So, and where they sit in those 6 seats also depends on the map. They won't always be in the same seat.
Yeah. So what I thought was interesting too, and I didn't even know this. So the way that you position the cots during the experiment is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's called Seba. Is that okay?
It's Seba, but the way I pronounce it, it sounds a little off, but yes.
And that's based off of ancient.
Well, the Egyptians.
Yeah.
Well, the Babylonians taught the Egyptians these angles, and the Seba actually itself is more like a starfish. If you ever look at, it's more like a starfish, but it does have the 6 or the 5 points, right? And then your center point is the focal point of this particular sacred symbol that they had. And the Egyptians really believed that they were able to open gates. And the Seba just happened to be one of the ones that they were using that I was kind of drawn to with my math from what I've researched. And there's all kinds of things with ancient civilizations from Peru to Venezuela, all of these different regions of the world, the aspects that have the similar or ideas and thoughts that they could open gates, even though there was no internet back then, there was no mail, they couldn't be contacting each other, but they all had these same thoughts and theories and ideas, and they wrote it on the walls, and there's just too many things there to just.
Yeah. Austin, you
yeah, I mean, you could even put into or throw in the idea that, I mean, I'm not really sure if he touched on it. I really don't think he did, but like how the ancient structures, like certain structures would resonate at different frequencies. Like they actually would build temples that when you go inside, they resonated at a certain frequency, and they, for somehow, some way, they knew what frequency it had to resonate. As well as like actually even over in the Grand Canyon, some of the ancient tribes that were in the Grand Canyon, they knew about like they could sense magnetism, like they could sense that like these giant granite boulders had some kind of special significance. But like when modern scientists go up to these boulders, like they resonate, like they can pick up like electrical charges, they can pick up magnetic fields. And so like somehow these ancient people, without even, like you said, without being in communication with each other and without having the modern instrumentation that we have, like they were aware of certain things, especially when it comes to like connecting with the other side. And so this is where a lot of like what we're putting into this and what JW has incorporated into this experiment is basically trying to take a lot of those elements and just recreate them in a modern form.
And you look at the caves of Peru, which somehow naturally they're able to communicate with the dead, or seemingly. They go into these caves, and it's almost like having an EVP session without having a digital recorder. And they have scientists go in there and record it, and these scientists come out going, I don't know what I just experienced, but for them, it was real. It was a real experience. They heard voices, and it's in those frequencies, even in something like those caves in Peru. So there's something in the frequencies. Tesla said, you want the answer to the universe, it's in the frequencies. And I believe that. And everything that I do at the Institute is about frequencies.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I may be way off base here, but I just was watching something. I think the there's a temple in Egypt that actually resonates, that was built to resonate at 432 hertz.
There's something about that, yes. I don't.
Well, and 432 hertz is supposed to be the universe frequency, right?
Yes.
Like that's supposed to be the frequency of the universe, 432 hertz.
See, that's the thing. There's quite a few frequencies, and this is what makes it so hard for guys like me is trying to pinpoint down these frequencies. That's why I have to do all these experiments, guys, is to find out which ones are working and which ones aren't, and that takes doing it over and over and over again. But because there's so many frequencies and there's so much mystery behind these. If you watch Ancient Aliens and some of these other ones and you listen to what they're saying, we have more questions than answers, but we got to start asking the questions and then keep going. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
We're diving into these things. We're trying to figure it out. So like that's why these experiments and this series coming up is going to be so exciting, because like I feel like there's very few, I don't know of anybody that's ever like kind of trekked this path in a documentary series or on a TV series at all. Like kind of tried to dive into this kind of concept and these experiments. And I hopefully this will kind of open up a new doorway or a new pathway in a lot of people with the paranormal community, as well as outside of the paranormal community that are just interested in this kind of thing. Like I think that this could be a game changer with regards to research and like kind of pushing the boundaries and exploring further, right?
See, Billy is a professional when it comes to filming documentaries, and he knows that field inside and out. So I'd like to hear from you, Billy. You were there with us for all 6 or 7 days. I'd like to hear your point of view as a professional of what we did that week.
So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it now. Well, couple things. My dog's barking. Milo, get out of here. Come here. So he wants to be on here. Look out, tough guy. Go in there.
He's got a lot to say.
Yeah, go in there. Little man syndrome. So I do want to answer your question, but you want me to play the trailer so people can see it?
That would be awesome.
So these guys, for anyone watching, we're talking about the new series called Travelers, the WorldGate Project. No one's seen the trailer yet. Not even JW or Austin have not even seen the trailer yet. It's two and a half minutes. Let's play that and then we'll come back and ask me that question again, because I'll try to give you an educated answer. But let's play this trailer, then we'll talk about that. And I hope this trailer will help people understand better what it is you guys are trying to accomplish and what we're trying to put out to the world, kind of what Austin was just talking about. So let's play this and then we'll come back and talk about it.
While at the granary, I intend to conduct experiments. What I expect to find during the WorldGate is that my participants are able to travel.
You're going to be able to go and investigate on the other side, and then you're going to come back and you're going to have a story to tell.
Over the past decade or two, I don't think that we've really made any strides as far as our understanding within the community. And so we have to try to push the boundaries.
He has scienced the hell out of this. So that's what really impressed me.
This is like, words can't even describe. It's so above and beyond.
I don't care how far away the participant flies, but their job is to open a door behind them, and when they come back, close it. This is literally Fuck around and find out.
I have actually astral projected before, but I'm excited to do this because this is in a controlled environment.
And I try to be open with anything new in the paranormal that I try. So let's see where it goes, man. Let's rock and roll.
A little nervous, very anxious for this, but a lot of excitement also.
I really do want to have an experience, an out-of-body experience would be really awesome. I hardly ever have things happen with me.
No matter what happens here, it's still going to be something worth talking about and something worth building off of.
Begin to imagine a door appearing.
I've heard stories about this, and we can travel. What does that mean? You know, am I going to be in another place, literally? It's like, is it going to be a dream state? I don't know.
You all right, bro?
Oh, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I mean. I don't, okay, there's something to this, but I don't know what.
When he made eye contact, it was a look of absolute terror.
I tried as hard as I could to save him, and when he died, it just killed me.
Do I think it'll work? I don't know. It was extremely surreal. I was blown away.
It was fun. I loved it.
My biggest accomplishment is if the participants have an experience and come away with a different view of the actual world, including the paranormal world.
Man, like it just, wow, right?
Driving from Minnesota to here is like, that was worth it to see Shiloh again.
I'm fixing to travel, I hope.
Love it.
All right.
Hell yeah. That was cool. That was really cool.
Nice. Thank you.
That was really cool.
Yeah, love it.
If y'all weren't pumped before, you better be now.
So we'll put that trailer out, out on social media and stuff after this live, whatever. So, hopefully that explains. When I cut trailers, it's hard. I mean, I'm sitting there going through hours and hours and hours and hours of content trying to make a cohesive story. It's not like this is a narrative movie where we wrote a script and exactly what scene's going where and when you shot it.
So that brings us back to the question that JW asked before. How do you what were your thoughts on the whole from start to finish, really? I mean,
so when I go into a job like this, I want to be as educated about the material as possible. But I'm also, my mind goes in 100 different directions because a couple of things. I'm a perfectionist, one. B, I'm there to do a job. And C, I know that if I don't get the shots and if I don't get the interviews and if the audio is not good and if it's out of focus, there's no going back. So I'm constantly thinking about that. I'm thinking about getting good enough interviews to be able to portray what it is we're trying to portray for that specific project. So I tried to read up on and learn about exactly what JW was doing and has done in the past. And it's kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around astral travel and remote viewing and everything.
The only one.
Yeah. So I'm not alone in that. So as we're there, I'm there to do a job. I'm there to get everything that I feel and hope that I need to get to be able to tell a good story. Because first and foremost, I consider myself a storyteller, no matter what the location is, what the project is. I feel like that's what I was put here to do and put on this earth to do. And, nobody else is going to do it. So if I'm lucky enough to be able to have the opportunity to go and produce something like this, then I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. And with this, with all the other varying factors going on, it is, in my opinion, it's just a very complex, very unique, different thing that JW is trying to do. And me as someone who's very visual, because I can read something and I can kind of see it in my head. So I battle back and forth with this because, and I still am, because I'm still working on the project. It's not done yet. It's not like we can put a camera in someone's mind or in their head and kind of see where they're going or what's happening. So that's the battle that I still am continuing to fight, because I want to be as visual, and we have to be as visual as possible when you're producing a TV series. So that was always kind of, man, how am I really going to make this engaging for the viewer? And how am I going to make people want to continue to watch this?
Well, there's minimal reference to go off of. I mean, there's really none either. Like, so you're just kind of creating the kind of like the basis of how, like, because really this is, like I was saying earlier, I don't think that this kind of a project has necessarily been done before in this fashion, especially. So like you're kind of like setting the tone for it right from the get-go, because like this is just way out. It is way out there.
I want to say right now, that's why I hold to these protocols, is since we can't get into their head, we have to take the participants' word for the experience when they came back, right? That's why the protocols are so important, that the viewer knows we did everything we could to make sure that these experiences did not get contaminated from one person or the other. Because sometimes I might give a person personal instructions right before they go, and no one else is going to know about it. None of the other participants are going to know about it. And if that participant comes back and another participant comes back and things match up, and there was no way for that second participant to know, and they did have a shared experience, we know that we did our protocols. There was no way that could have been, contaminated in any way. And that's about all we can do for us doing the documentary with Billy, is to hold those protocols so that we know our integrity is intact, our participants' integrity was intact, and we still got these anomalies in their experiences that can't be explained, if that makes sense, what I just said.
Yeah, what did you think about some of that stuff, Billy? Like, what did you think about, like, the things, like some of the results of each of these experiments as we were going through, like from an outside perspective?
Yeah, I mean, like JW just said, you just kind of have to trust people and take them at their word and just hope nobody's up there just making up stories, which I don't think anybody was. I mean, you easily could. And we would never know the difference, Now, so to be honest with you, I've not been through all of the experiments and everything yet, so I can't comment on everything. But the
interviews to go through. Every participant goes through an exit interview at the end of each experiment. So if you have 4 or 5 experiments, and you have 6 participants per experiment, and then all 6 of them have an exit interview, that's a lot of interviews.
Yeah, so you guys have seen. So we've already put together the first 3 episodes. Episode 1 will be premiering tomorrow night, and then next Friday, episode 2, and so on and so forth until we're finished with the series. Every Friday night, we're going to release a new episode. So I'm excited about it. Those interviews. I mean, that's obviously the backbone of JW's experiment and his research and all that, and JW, you and I've had these talks before, but talk about why those are important from a scientific standpoint. Like, I guess kind of explain to people when you go back and kind of mash up all the data, like you're seeing, if they're like, well, this happened at this time. Are you looking at heart rates? Are you looking at brain waves? Again, not trying to bore people here, but talk about why that's important.
Correlation in the data. We had just the very first experiment. We had those weird things that happened with the computers. The same time we got the spikes for the EEGs. The same thing that, one of our participants had the situation. This is a lot of correlation that all happened at the same time. It's just bam, bam, bam. Those are the things we're looking at. Looking for correlation in the data. And when you get all of this happening all at one time, we're not even going to talk about coincidences, because that week was full. At a certain point, it became a joke about the coincidences, and we were like, we can't handle another coincidence, because there were so many things that happened over that week that were just...
Yeah, I stopped taking them seriously. People kept coming in. It's like, all right, you know what? No, it doesn't even surprise me anymore, right?
Like, these aren't coincidences.
Mm-hmm.
You get enough of these things happening, you got to start looking past coincidence. And that's what I do, and I collect as much data as I can. I'm filming from 24 different camera angles a lot of times, at least 12 camera angles, sometimes more, depending on the size of the location that I'm in. This one, I think we had 12 or 14 cameras going all the time, plus what you had, Billy. We really are looking at this thing from every angle. We're recording. We already know what audio is going out there. We know the audio that we're conditioning the environment with. We know the audio that the participants listening to. I've got a countdown timer. I can pretty much tell where we're at in that 47-minute experiment. And when something like that goes bam, 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 at that particular point, I got to make note of that, because this was something that caused all of this. It was like a domino effect.
Yeah.
So what caused it? What frequencies were we using? Who was doing what where? And I have to correlate that data and look back at it, and then see if I can recreate that situation. Hopefully it's not a bad situation, but I guess if somebody was a little sick at their stomach or whatever, you really don't want to recreate that if you can help it. But you got to, from my point, got to at least look at it. I may not try to make them sick to their stomach again, but I have to at least look at it, right? I mean, that's the whole reason we're collecting all this.
Did we lose it? Oh, there it is. Okay. No, I mean, yeah, but also I would like to throw in there too that we are reading a lot of data. Like, we're reading the EEG data, and we're getting audio coming back in after it's being put out. And there were a few things that we did experience, like anomalies that we captured in the data that I still have trouble finding explanations for. And I'm not going to say on here. You have to watch to find out what those things are. But I mean, I'll just say that I have asked medical professionals. I've asked people that work with these things. And they, like, at first they start at first they say, no, that shouldn't happen. Or they give me one answer, but then they say, like, they start thinking about it and it makes less and less sense to them, I guess I should say.
Now,
So
I do want to say, while you're talking about medical, we do have medical staff. In the film, you're going to see them called PAs. Those are participant assistants. What they do is they help these participants if anything goes wrong, but also to help set up everything before and after the experiment. But we do have nurses, medics that are there, just precautionary, so they are professionals. So we're not just doing this haphazardly. I want to point that out, that we're not just going at this haphazardly. We've really got our ducks in a row as best as we can for what it is we're messing with.
So I have a confession to make. I hadn't even told you this, JW. A couple of days ago, I was editing. This is no lies, the guy's honest truth. And you know, well, you saw in the trailer how I put maybe three or 4 seconds of your countdown, or it wasn't your countdown. It was the
audio.
That was the Peregrine. Yeah.
Peregrine audio with the red moving thing. So I don't know what happened. This is, you know, before I got you guys the last episode that y'all have already watched. I was putting it in there, and I was watching like 15, 20 seconds of it, and I started getting nauseated. Like my head started spinning a little, and this never happens to me. I had to like get up from my computer and walk outside, and I stayed nauseated for a couple of hours, to be honest with you. And I was completely fine before. I'm not blaming it on that. I don't know exactly what it was, but
now I will say that video is not meant to be watched.
I know.
I don't have a blank screen on my laptop. I have one dedicated laptop for my participants. And if you'll notice,
it's like the Ring video.
The participants are red. So
it's not supposed to be watched.
What?
It's not supposed to be watched. You'll die in 7 days.
So here's the poster. Let me get some of these banners.
Yeah, it's not meant to be watched. It's meant to be listened to with your eyes.
No, I know. But I thought it was a cool visual.
Oh,
and I did that so there would at least be something on the laptop.
Yeah. So here is
that was really cool.
So we have the poster. Here's the vertical version, the horizontal version. What do you guys think about the poster?
I love them.
I love it.
I got to get one to put on my wall.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to build that link I told you where I can get, you guys can actually order these. I'll have to upload it and stuff, but
we got to get some t-shirts made too. Those things, that's badass.
And here's the group.
Yeah.
I think it's about everybody.
No, it is everybody, I think.
I think everybody was there for that one. I don't know who's missing. I think that's everybody that was there, though.
I think so, too.
Yeah, everybody that was there, yeah.
Do y'all want to...
That was the whole crew right there.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all want to talk about some of the you don't have to get in long drawn out stories, but talk about some of the participants and volunteers and others who kind of helped out?
These guys were all crazy. They just told the wild stories, man. No, they were absolutely, all of them were absolutely amazing.
Come together.
Yeah, I don't think we could have asked for a better crew.
And a lot of these people did not know each other before this week. But when this 7 days, well, I was there for like 7 days. By the end of this week, between everybody was friends when that week was over with. But some of them had never met each other, didn't know each other, nothing before we came together. And by the time it ended, we had these experiences that just bonded us. And I reckon they're going to bond us for a long time to come.
Do you remember that one day we were shooting? Obviously not this day because it's blue skies, but there's one day and it started hailing outside and like icing and snowing.
Yeah.
At the beginning of April. I was like, what is
and then we had that solar eclipse.
Oh, that was like
that was at the very end. That was at the very end of the day. So like that whole week was the build up to the solar eclipse. But then there was a day where it was like 70 out, and then it was a day it was like hailing. It was like, what the hell?
The whole week, and then there was days the wind was blowing 35 miles.
Oh my God, dude. Us trying to hold back that thing.
That's right. It kept blowing off the tent and stuff.
I remember we had to all run out there and grab that thing. We were all holding on for dear life.
It was crazy. Oh,
that was crazy. Oh my gosh, that was awesome. But yeah, I think the camaraderie, like everybody, we were all there for, 7 days and 5, 6, 7 days, and I think everybody was there for a long time. It was long days. Everybody was working hard, and I think that kind of it kind of bonded us in a certain way. It bonded all of us, and I think that and that was something that I did hear from the participants, was that they appreciated that so much. Was just the fact that they were able to bond and hang out and build a connection with people, like you said, that never met each other beforehand.
And let's face it, I'm experimenting with human beings. I mean, it takes a lot of trust to let a guy in a cowboy hat start hooking up shit to your head and put you in a cot and go, I'm going to send you to Never Never Land. And you're like,
so we actually, in the first episode, we actually kind of, there's a segment talking about that exact thing, about the potential dangers and in doing this and whatnot. So it's funny you say that, but you remember episode 1 good enough? You want to give or maybe both of y'all give a quick recap, so for those who are interested in watching it tomorrow night, so they kind of know.
Well, JW, I'll let you start because you've actually watched it. I don't even know how many times now. 10 times maybe.
Probably
at least
12 times. Just sometimes listening to it, sometimes watching it, just because this is kind of out of my wheelhouse, but I'm learning, and thankfully Billy's got a lot of patience to work with me and teach me some things, but I feel like the first one really sets up everything for the viewer to get an idea of what's going to transpire as this series goes along, because it's going to build. But first of all, just like any other experiment, you got to start with your basics. And that's where one is starting, is with those basics, so you can start getting a feel for who was there and what we were doing. And then as the series goes along, you're going to get more and more information. But I love episode 1. I think it is great for setting that tone and what to expect as we go forward, which is, you don't know what the hell to expect as we go forward with these next episodes. You're kind of left going, well, oh my gosh, I got to see what happened. And that's how we felt all week long. So I want the viewer to feel what we felt from day 1 right on through. We never knew what was going to happen the next day, but we were looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think episode 1 really, it does give a lot of background information. I mean, there's some vague background information for the most part, but it does very well, like JW said. And Billy did a great job with setting the precedents and kind of laying it out so where we hope that it's easy enough for the viewer to understand. And my wife is not somebody that is easily impressed with paranormal TV anymore. And there are a lot of people that feel the same way, but I'm going to tell you guys, my wife, right from the first episode, was very captivated with it. And I think that episode 1 is so important just because, if you don't watch it, you don't really kind of have context for the rest of it. But this was something that was really important, at least for me, to make sure it was done. Because of what JW had kind of gone through with past projects, it was never really given enough context or enough information for the viewer to truly understand. And so I think that's very important.
with Billy's help, we're hoping to give enough context of my experiments and what we did without boring anybody with too much of it, so that you're getting the best of both worlds. You're gonna get the highlights of what happened, which was some really good stuff, but also you're gonna get that context. And I think Billy's really good at threading that needle and giving us both. Because for me, you're right, Austin, it was very important for me that people knew what these experiments were and why we were doing these experiments, and then showing everything that happened from the experiment. So that was very important.
So we have a comment we want to flash on the screen from somebody watching it live.
Put your reading glasses on there, bud.
I'm sorry. I guess I'm gonna order a new microphone off of Amazon. I thought this was a good mic.
You almost sound like you're speaking into one of those tin can, like with the strings.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I mean, it's a nice microphone. Hello.
Actually, that sounds better.
Okay, take this off. Does this sound better?
That's actually a little clearer.
Right there, that's a little clearer.
No, it sounds the same to me.
I don't hear that little rattling anymore, but that's just. I don't know. Regardless, yeah, JW, you need a new setup.
Anybody can actually hear me. Billy and Austin give me hell all the time because when it comes to cell phones and microphones and stuff like this for social media, I can't figure it out, and I'm always screwing it up. But yet I can build an entire system to send somebody to freaking Neverland and bring them back safely. But I can't figure out a freaking cell phone.
It's true.
No, I just like messing with you. I've learned it's easy to mess with you.
It is. It is. You have to. And he's like, he almost asks for it.
I'm an easy target. I know.
You almost ask for it.
If you're giving me hell, you're leaving somebody else alone. So I'll take one for the team.
It's a good way to look at it.
All right, I'm gonna play the trailer one more time, and then just so for those who may have missed it, and we'll talk a little bit more. We don't want to keep boring people, but let's play this one more time, and then we'll talk more about it.
Okay.
While at the granary, I intend to conduct experiments. What I expect to find during the WorldGate is that my participants are able to travel.
You're going to be able to go and investigate on the other side, and then you're going to come back and you're going to have a story to tell.
Over the past decade or two, I don't think that we've really made any strides as far as our understanding within the community. And so we have to try to push the boundaries.
He has scienced the hell out of this. So that's what really impressed me.
This is like, words can't even describe. It's so above and beyond.
I don't care how far away the participant flies, but their job is to open a door behind them, and when they come back, close it. This is literally fuck around and find out.
I have actually astral projected before, but I'm excited to do this because this is in a controlled environment.
And I try to be open with anything new in the paranormal that I try. So let's see where it goes, man. Let's rock and roll.
A little nervous, very anxious for this, but a lot of excitement also.
I really do want to have an experience, an out-of-body experience would be really awesome. I hardly ever have things happen with me.
No matter what happens here, it's still going to be something worth talking about and something worth building off of.
Begin to imagine a door appearing.
I've heard stories about this, and we can travel. What does that mean? You know, am I going to be in another place, literally? It's like, is it going to be a dream state? I don't know.
You all right, bro?
Oh, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I mean. Okay, there's something to this, but I don't know what.
When he made eye contact, it was a look of absolute terror.
I tried as hard as I could to save him, and when he died, it just killed me.
Do I think it'll work? I don't know. It was extremely surreal. I was
blown away.
It was fun. I loved it.
My biggest accomplishment is if the participants have an experience and come away with a different view of the actual world, including the paranormal world.
Man, like it just, wow, right?
Driving from Minnesota to here is like, that was worth it to see Shiloh again.
I'm fixing to travel, I hope.
It gets better every time I see it.
I know.
So I got to give a shout out to Steve. Steve, is it Steve or Steven?
Steve. Either way.
Steve was awesome. Steve gave great interviews. He got me a ton of drone footage, which was amazing. I mean, I had my drone; I could have done it too, but he had his, and his actually.
That drone.
Yeah. So, and then he helped us hold the boom mic during, some of the investigative stuff, and he was just a huge help.
Can I make an announcement right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Steve and Kayla are now part of the IBC Institute.
Oh, that's awesome. What exactly does that mean?
They were participants. They are now part of the Institute. They came in and they're now part of the crew. And I tell you what, they're great friends. They're amazing people. They're dedicated to the projects and to the research. And that's why I wanted to bring them in. And so now they're part of the Institute with me and Austin.
Oh, that's great. So what exactly does that mean? I know you probably just said it, but
basically that it just means that they're going to be coming anytime we do these experiments, anytime we travel around, they're going to be on site with us to help set up. Because I mean, even you saw how much work it really is from setup to teardown, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a lot. And so we always need solid, reliable hands and people that understand it and can really we can break it down for them and they can get a basic understanding of what needs to be done. And they're great. They are both great.
Eric Moore, he helps a lot too.
Yeah, I don't know how those volunteers, I don't know how they were able to put all your equipment and your gear together and make it into what it ended up turning out to be, because if I would have been doing that, I would have been like, okay, so you'll plug this in all of this, and that's it.
And well, Amy Schaefer, I'm sorry, I was talking over JW, but I was gonna say Amy Schaefer, Pat Haberman, Steve and Kayla Gregory, Eric Moore, Melissa Sprinkle. I can't remember. Who am I missing?
Even Beth was there, but
Beth was there for a minute.
She got sick, I think, right?
Yeah, she ended up getting strep throat. But then, of course, I mean, everybody that was there to help throughout that time. I mean, I don't think we could have had a better crew because they all were just ready to come and help, and they had the best interests at heart for the experiment.
Okay, that final experiment, we were short a medical. We needed somebody that was going to be not in the experiment, and we needed either a medic or a nurse on site. And so we held off on that to make sure that we got us a nurse there. And I'll let you introduce her, but
me?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Becky?
Yeah,
Eric's wife, Becky Moore. Yeah, she came in, and Eric. We were short. I don't remember exactly. Somebody had to leave, right? And so, Becky got off of work, and we were able to get her over there to be on standby while we did the experiment, just in case. So we made sure we had our bases covered.
Yeah.
Just have our bases covered. We were not going to do an experiment without having somebody on medical staff that was not involved in the experiment. Somebody standing by in case something happened.
So Jay, do you have your glasses on? Can you read this question?
So what would happen if the astral door is not closed upon the traveler's return? Well, that's only happened once, and it took a little while for the door to close. Took about 20-25 minutes. It did not really make it into the documentary, but that was a one that I did at the Conjuring House. So it can happen. Now the door closes, but that doesn't mean whatever was going on. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like the door closed, but whatever was happening took another 20-25 minutes for the level to come back down. And the Conjuring House usually has some level of activity, but it was way the hell up here. And it took about a half hour to come down. And a lot of strange stuff happened in that 20 to 25 minutes. But I've never
liken it
left the
to.
door wide open.
I liken it to when you shake up a soda can and then you open it. Like it fizzles out, but you gotta wait for it to die down a little bit.
Yeah.
Or not a can, but a bottle of pop, right? You shake up a bottle of pop, you open it, and you gotta put the cap back on real quick. But it gotta, So I gotta look at it like that.
That's a good analogy.
These are experiments, so there's no guarantee when I do one of these that everything that I theorize is going to happen. Hopefully everybody travels. Hoping we open some kind of a portal or get a view or get some activity. And then everybody comes back safely. And then we listen to their exit interviews and we find out what they experienced. But sometimes nothing happens in the environment, but the participants still have a story to tell when they get back. Other times, we get a few strange things happening, like in the first one. I don't know what happened with Mike. I can't give away too much. You're going to have to watch, but I don't know what happened there. But between the equipment and Mike and we had a laser thing, there was just a bunch of stuff that all happened as the gate opened. And it all happened right as we opened the gate. I don't know too much.
So they wrote, so that's literally when it can all break loose potentially. Which
yes.
I guess that makes sense.
Yes, but I do have frequencies in place for shutting everything back down. Got to remember, there's frequencies for the environment, but there's also frequencies for the participants, and those frequencies play at different times for different people. And they're meant to help open the gate and then close it back down. And that's what I call the catalyst experiment, which is audio strictly for the physical environment itself. It's not for the participants. It's just to aid them, or actually, hopefully, the participants are able to aid the catalyst in opening it, because I do believe that the humans are very capable of opening this gate and then closing it back down. So the two experiments are working together. The catalyst and the peregrine, or the hyperrealm, whichever one it is, works with the catalyst to open and close that gate.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have another comment for Jay.
Put every single one up. Oh, there is closed captioning? Thank God.
Yeah.
Kind of like freaking Chasey Ray from the original Ghost Asylum.
I was going to say, we should have just put subtitles below everything that Jay was saying tonight.
Apparently there are closed captionings on it, so yeah, that's what Stephanie was saying. Luckily.
I guess I'm going to have to order a new microphone. This microphone's only like 2 years old, but I've only used it a couple of times.
All right. Well, I want to do more of these lives, and you better get your microphone working right before we do the next one.
I'll order a new one, sir.
It may not be the microphone. I mean, it may just be a setting or something.
It could be a setting. I mean,
I think it's just him.
Or the cord going from the microphone to the your computer, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephanie, she's got one more.
That's what I said. That's what I said. Like she's talking into the. It's like he's talking to the tin can with a string.
I can't win for losing.
I'm just glad your audio don't sound like that on what I'm trying to edit. Then I'd be in trouble.
Oh my God, that would be awful.
Here's a serious question. Another one. Can you read that, Jay? So after your experiments, would you recommend people astral travel on their own? I mean, you heard even Amy said that, and well, in the trailer she says it, but she gives a more in-depth soundbite in the actual series. That's obviously just a very condensed version of what she says. She explains it more. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Is it safe?
Okay, here's the thing about astral traveling. I've talked to a few people, and one of them is Tessa Groff, and she's talked about being able to do it since she was very young. And then she stopped doing it. It's okay for me to say this, right, Austin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what she was explaining to me, because I did some of these experiments for Nick and Tessa, she kind of quit traveling as she got older because it was harder to control, and she just kind of moved away from it. And one of the things she said to me, which I greatly appreciated, was she said that the way that I did it, it was very easy for her to travel and then came back. And she was really worried about traveling again after so long, but it eased her. So I don't know if I can recommend traveling by yourself because I'm not an expert on somebody doing it with natural abilities. I know I set protocols in place to try to be as safe as I can. I don't know that I'm the right person to ask for somebody to just try to do it in their bedroom all by themselves. I don't know. Austin, you want to weigh in there?
I would say, I mean, it's always, if you're interested enough in the topic, I would just recommend doing the research, like really trying to figure out what it takes. And I mean, it might even, if you have questions, I mean, it may, like, look at what some of the Monroe Institute was doing. Look at, and I know that JW has videos up on his channel on YouTube, right? Of like some sample participant audio and stuff too. I think that you would have to spend some time with it and just like actually, I mean, if you want to try it, go for it, but just understand that there may be some risks that I don't know if any of us really know what the true risks are, because I guess I can't say that we've had any actual cases of somebody, not just with us, but like ever, like having issues after an astral travel, like coming back and being in like severe danger, I guess.
No, we've had experiences in the past where they were mixed, maybe not all good, not all bad.
Yeah, so that's always a risk.
It can be a little disorienting when they come back, but no long-lasting effects. None of my participants have ever had any long-lasting effects, and every one of them, 2 or 1, have said they would do it again, and they're ready to do it again.
So how this is kind of a broad question, but the one that we did with the series, JW, and you don't be 100% honest, I mean, do you feel like it was a success? Are you happy with everything, the way it turned out? Again, I know we're not finished with the series, like putting it all together, but do you look at that as a success or?
Yeah. The Peregrine experiences for the participants, I believe that for the most part they were a success. You got to realize that some people are going to have a harder time traveling than other people. The Hyperdome was definitely a very successful one.
Mm-hmm.
for the participants and for our viewers, there's two different ones. The peregrine is when I let them go free roam, willy-nilly, go as far as you want. And then the hyper realm is to try to keep you in a local realm to wherever it is that, whatever location we're in, to go investigate on the other side. Now, the catalyst, that one there, it varies. I think the catalyst was not very successful. Well, it wasn't as successful as I wish it had been. We did have some anomalies, and in one of the episodes, you're going to see something with Mike, and I can't give it away. But be watching out for something that happens a little later, where must have been a few hours later. A few hours has passed, and watch what happens with Mike when he's in a certain location. We can't discount that. He was standing in the Sabbath. I will say this: hours later, and this happened. So we can't discount that. We don't know what it was, but we can't discount it. Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was very bizarre, and the correlation there. I mean, I know we're talking about people haven't seen it, but the correlation of what happened to Mike in one specific location within the granary is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, and I mean, we talked about it when it actually happened, but now to kind of put it all together and see it several months later, I think is more validation that maybe something was messing with him specifically, or what in that specific area.
And when it was back in that gate, he was back in that gate again.
Yeah.
But hours later. So we can't discount those things. We don't know what they are, but we can't just throw them out. We got to at least keep them in the back of our head that something was going on right there. So
I think something.
For the most part, these were very successful, and we're going to keep going. I mean, we're going to do it again in May. So we're going to keep going. The Institute's going to keep doing this.
What were you going to say, Austin, about that situation with Mike?
Oh shoot, I can't even remember.
About something messing with him.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. So like, I felt like there was something like that was messing with the experiments kind of throughout. Like, and we kind of got like signs of that, like almost like, because it felt like some people were being, I want to say like blocked. Like, especially when it came to like their traveling, there were some certain situations that came up, and I think that emotions were definitely heightened in certain scenarios. That, but I think that all added to. I think it all adds to everything. You know, I think that the whole project was a very successful one, in my opinion. But obviously, like Jay said, you know, this was just our first one. You know, and so like I'm glad that this is being portrayed as well as it is, with, you know, that you're doing a hell of a job with this. But like, you know, with the next one, we're adding environmental data collection. And one thing that we are focusing on doing every single time we do these projects is improving the system. So I think that we learned a lot. We learned a lot with this project, man, and I thought it was a great start. It was a great start for the IDC Institute. It's a great starting project, like the first documentary to come out about it. Like, I think that this was as good as it could be, in my opinion. Yeah. In a good way, like that. You know, this was as good as, like, I don't know if it could have done better. To, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't think we could have done it better, but
like, it's great, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, as we go along, like, we're going to add the ESAs, my environmental sensor array. That is a new system that will be seen in future. In May, we'll be using those. So we're always adding equipment, and I'm always either rebuilding my equipment, adding to my equipment, or something as I learn more about what it is that we're finding out, what's working and what's not working. If something's not working, I got to really look at it and find out, well, why is it not working, and then try something different. I only get to do this a couple of times a year, which is kind of good because it gives me months of getting ready to do one.
It takes it.
It is a long week, as Billy knows. It's a
So-
long week to do this.
So Jay, I don't. Here's a question from earlier. I don't want you to get in a lot of detail because we actually addressed this. I think in the first episode, right? That is in the first episode.
Yes, actually, yes, it is.
Yes. In the very first episode, I do touch base on something like this that did occur at the Conjuring House, and everything's fine. Everything's okay. But yes, there is always the possibility of somebody not having a very positive experience. That is always a danger, and we know that going in.
Yeah, just don't on the next one. Just don't put goggles on anyone and make them watch that video like you made me watch it, because then you'll have everybody puking. Oh my god, I can't. I don't know. It may not have been that video, but that's weird. It was really weird, and it's not like I sit there and watched 5 minutes of it. It was literally like 15, 20. But when you add it, you're sitting there watching the same clip over and over and over and over and over. And so that may have started messing with me looking at that.
100%.
Watching it, you can listen to it, but
I know.
Eyes.
It's some interesting audio.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest with you, after the fact that you sending me that audio of what the participants were actually listening to, I never knew while we were there. I never heard that audio because it's going into their headphones and stuff. So I didn't know what was being pumped into.
And that's why I sent it to you, Billy. I wanted you to get an idea of what I really never had. You never had a chance to just lay down. You were working the entire time you were there. So that's why I felt it was important to send you that, so you could get an idea in your head of what those participants were listening to when you're watching all those clips of them laying there. I wanted you to hear what they were hearing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why, again, going back to actually putting this together and editing it and producing it, the tricky part is, like, me as a filmmaker, I want the best that we can to maybe try to take the viewer inside of the experiment to a degree, not that obviously the viewer is going to be able to experience what the participants did. But I think I think in part 2 and part 3, or episode 2 and episode 3, that we delve into that, and your audio and what you sent me actually adds to that, because it makes it actually puts it out there so people can kind of know when you see shots of people with, participants with their headphones and stuff on. So that's an interesting
And I have a
thing.
lot of different audio. I mean, the hyper realm is different than the peregrine.
Yep.
The catalyst is a little bit different for the hyper realm than the catalyst audio that I use for the peregrine. So there's about 4 different audios, and then I do a lot of testing with the Arecibo and the Spiricon frequencies and stuff like that, especially when I'm calibrating everything, which I also see those as catalyst type frequencies for the environment. But then I also have the Sabigio frequency. So, and then I have my custom frequency. So there's a lot of different audio going on here during these experiments.
Yeah. Explain again. You probably already said it, but what does that audio do to these participants to help them get to where? I mean, I think it plays a huge role, right? It goes back to what you were saying about frequencies and stuff, correct?
Well, you've got to synchronize the left side and the right side of your brain. That's called Henderson. If you're an artist, you're going to be using a particular side of your brain. If you're doing math, you're going to use another side of your brain. If you're working on a car, or you're just relaxing watching TV, we use different sides of our brain all day long. Rarely are they synchronized. And the best way to synchronize the left side and the right side of the brain is with frequencies. So let me give you an example without boring anybody. We know what the human frequency range is that the human ear can hear. If I want you to hear 4 to 7 hertz, you can't hear it. Our frequency, our ears don't go that way. But what we've discovered is if I play, let's say I play 105 hertz in your left ear, and I play 110 hertz in your right ear, you hear 5 hertz. The brain just automatically cancels out and balances that down to that 5 hertz difference. And what the brain does is it says there's 5 hertz difference, and that's what you actually hear. Now, that is the basis behind HemiSync, and then there's a lot more that goes into it. I won't bore everybody, but there's your basic formula for it right there. Now, the key is when you figure out which frequencies to use. Do I need to use 220 and 227? You know, you got to start figuring out, do I use 430 and then 435?
Right.
Figure out these frequencies, and that's where a lot of my work comes in, and I'm not going to bore everybody with all that math. I just got to figure that out, and then that's how I design my audio, and it's about 46 to 49 minutes each experiment, and they can be different lengths, but usually they're in the 45, let's say the 45 to 49 minute range. It's how long one of these experiments lasts, but they may only travel for 10 or 12 minutes. But it takes me a while to get them to the point where they're ready to travel. You don't just lay down and get ready to travel. I use these frequencies to get them to that point where hopefully they can travel.
How do you think an individual differentiates between falling asleep during one of these experiments and actually consciously traveling?
Well, usually with the EEG, we're going to see if they fell asleep or not.
Okay.
We're really looking for, when we're looking at the EEG, we're looking for that, what those patterns are of what may be going on inside of their head. And so, yes, it's possible somebody could fall asleep during this, and a dream is still an altered reality. I mean, let's be honest with it. But the thing is when these participants come up, they have so much detail. When they come back, the ones that do have experiences, the detail is a lot to remember for just a dream. But then if you ask them, like I have my reflections videos out there, when they're able to come back 6 months later and still give you those same kinds of details, which would really only normally happen if you had actually experienced something in the real world. We don't normally remember a dream months later, but we can remember a lot of details of a baseball game we went to 6 months ago and the fun we had or whatever. So if those details are still fresh later on, and that's why I stay in touch with my participants, is this is an ongoing thing. And so it's possible they could have just had a dream.
Well, and I would also throw in there too that a lot of people, when they astral project, some people call it lucid dreaming too, but most of it happens seemingly at that cusp between being awake and being asleep, like that kind of middle ground. And really, like, that's what the frequencies more or less are trying to put you into, that kind of level.
And
without
go to sleep.
But I mean, some people, you can go to sleep and still have the dreams, and so it's
So I
in that Goldilocks zone and not let you go to sleep. I'm hoping that those frequencies and the instructions that you're hearing, because there's instructions in these frequencies, is going to keep you awake, but keep you in that Goldilocks zone for a little while.
So
for experiments, there's no guarantee.
Yeah, the reason I ask is even with what we did, you know, obviously I didn't stay in the experiment room the entire time, but I was in and out and filming it various times. But there was a couple of people that were snoring, like I could hear them snore, and I got it on camera. So.
Yeah, so it's
I
really
do.
hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to balance it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to ask you on camera who was snoring, but
I know who it was.
was.
And actually,
During the experience, during the exit interviews, what we're hearing during those exit interviews was going to tell us if they were probably asleep or if actually may have traveled.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say, though, that this person who was asleep was actually that anomaly that I was talking about that we can't figure out. Like, that was when that happened. He was asleep when we captured this anomaly. So I don't know if that has any kind of significance to it, or like if that, I still don't understand how it could happen, but like seemingly him being asleep, it still happened. So I guess I don't know. And he had some crazy stories too to tell, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much it changed it.
These are called experiments for a reason. We are still learning, but we're trying to go past the normal paranormal investigation and do some research. And if we can find out a new way to investigate, which is what I'm trying to do, that's awesome. I mean, if this could even work some of the time. How many times have people gone to investigations and never had any experience? You know, in a haunted location. So it's very possible that somebody can have no experience during one of these. There's no promises. Nothing's 100%.
No, and it's it's definitely the path that we're looking to explore down, and we got many other plans for the future, like with future experiments, trying to collect, like we have different tests that we already have planned out, and we're not going to reveal, obviously, but like these are like there's a lot more for us to explore when it comes to this stuff. I can't. I'm not gonna.
So
I want to. I'm excited about it. I get excited about it.
Yeah. So, like I said, I definitely, you know, if you guys want to join us, and maybe we can have a couple other participants on, and we'll do some other lives in the coming weeks and stuff when everybody's available. But, yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't hear you, JW. What? No. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this to come out and for others to kind of see this. And yeah, again, like it's going to be on ScareNetwork.tv. So you can go to the website. We have apps out on Roku, Apple, Fire Stick, Android, all over the place. So you guys can go and watch it tomorrow night at 8:00, or the first episode. When we get done with this live, we're going to put the trailer out. So everyone can kind of see the trailer and get a better understanding of exactly what this project is. So, yeah, any closing thoughts? Just, you know, about episode 1, about the just the experiment and the project in general from both of you guys?
No, I just want them to watch it, and then we'll be back to the next live. I want to hear some feedback from them after they've seen an episode or so. Because I think we've pretty much given you everything we can for the viewer. Now it's time for you to go watch it and see what it is we're talking about, and then we can meet back and talk about it some more after they get a visual of what's going on.
Yeah,
I would just say that yeah, this is completely out of left field. And I mean, it's out of left field for a lot of people, including myself, when I first got into it. I mean, Billy knows too. Like, this is not your typical paranormal ghost hunting documentary. This is like a completely different mindset, completely different concept and focus. And I mean, if people would give it a chance, you may actually realize that there's a lot. Like, we just want people to see that there's a lot more to all of this than what you have seen for decades.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely different than any project that I've been a part of, and since I started the Scare Network, almost 4 years ago, but it's pretty much been going to these haunted locations where bad things happened, and trying to tell the history of those, and getting evidence and trying to correlate the two. So this is definitely a different animal, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to be a part of it and do it, because it is kind of out of the norm from a paranormal perspective. So again, I thank you guys for the opportunity and for trusting me to come in and capture it the best that I could. And wish I had more tools and more help, but I think so far, I think we've done a pretty good job with what we did. So,
That is amazing. Thank you. It's amazing.
So
I'm happy with it. I'll say that. I'm happy with it.
All right, stop kissing my butt. No, I was just kidding. No, it's one of those things. And I was telling JW this. I just you would like, as a filmmaker and as a storyteller, the world to see the projects you put out, and especially that holds true for this one 100%. I want everyone to see it and give their thoughts on it, because it is an intriguing topic that's not discussed that much, in the mainstream, I feel like. So,
and we had some crazy stuff happen. It was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we went out on a limb every day we were there for 6 days running. So how many people can say they go to a location for 6 days and just do all these crazy experiments and investigations for 6 days? It's a dream come true to be able to go do that. You know what I mean? That's just, it's amazing to be able to go do that. I love it.
Awesome. Any final thoughts before we jump off here?
Nope.
Well,
make sure you watch it, guys.
Yeah, tomorrow night, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Yeah, give it a watch, and like JW said, give us some feedback. We want some feedback on it, so we can learn and grow and make the experiments and the filmmaking better in the future. So appreciate all the support. Thank you guys, and yeah, we'll announce when we're going to come on here live and talk more about it. Hopefully next week.
That sounds good.
All right, guys. Everyone have a good night. Thanks, everyone.
All
right. Thanks, everybody.